Introduction to the Quarantine. In the vastness of space, where stars twinkled like distant memories, a solitary ship drifted through the void, its hull gleaming under the light of a nearby sun. This was not just any vessel, it was the SS Endeavour, a state-of-the-art exploration ship tasked with a mission that weighed heavily on its crew. Inside, in a small compartment designated as a habitat, David Solomon stirred awake, his mind still foggy from weeks of isolation. "Good morning, human anomaly, David," chirped Gabby, the ship's artificial intelligence, breaking through the silence with its mechanical yet oddly comforting voice. "It is currently the 12th hour of shipboard time. You have 3 hours until your quarantine is finished." David groaned as he stretched his arms above his head, feeling the stiffness in his joints from prolonged confinement. "Thanks, Gabby," he muttered, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He had grown accustomed to this routine, waking up alone in a sterile environment designed for isolation rather than comfort. It was a far cry from home. "May I inquire about your emotional state?" Gabby continued, its tone devoid of genuine curiosity, but programmed to check on human well-being. "I'm fine," David replied curtly, though he knew that was far from true. The isolation had taken its toll on him and his fellow crew members, 25 others who were equally trapped in their own habitats aboard this ship. They had been quarantined for an extended period due to fears surrounding human behavior after centuries of conflict on Earth. "Your heart rate has spiked during our conversation," Gabby noted matter-of-factly. "Yeah, well, I'm not used to talking to walls," David shot back, a hint of frustration creeping into his voice. The AI didn't seem to grasp human nuances or emotions fully, a flaw that both amused and annoyed him. As he prepared for another day aboard the Endeavour, David couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched, not just by Gabby, but by something far greater: the Galactic Council. This council had deemed Earth too dangerous for interstellar interaction after centuries of war and environmental destruction, leading to humanity's quarantine from the galaxy at large. David finished brushing his teeth and stepped out into the common area, where his teammates began to emerge from their own habitats. The atmosphere shifted as they greeted one another with weary smiles, sharing jokes about their shared ordeal. It was essential for morale. Laughter was one of their few weapons against despair. "Okay, guys," David said as he gathered them around for their first debriefing since isolation ended. "I know we've been eating nutrient blocks for weeks now, but let's get something real in our stomachs before we dive into work." A chorus of agreement followed, with some members joking about how they'd forgotten what actual food tasted like. They made their way toward the mess hall, a spacious area filled with tables and chairs designed for social interaction, something they had sorely missed during their confinement. As they settled down at one of the tables and began serving themselves from the food dispensers, David felt a wave of relief wash over him. They were together again, no longer isolated but still under scrutiny by forces beyond their control. He glanced around at his team: engineers, scientists, and pilots, all skilled individuals who had dedicated their lives to exploration and understanding. "Let's talk about what's next," he said after everyone had taken their first bites. "We need to get our equipment checked out and ready for deployment." But before he could continue outlining their tasks, a commotion erupted at another table where one of his engineers was animatedly recounting an encounter he'd had while stuck in isolation. A story involving an alien creature they had never seen before. "Wait, you mean you actually tried to communicate with it?" laughed Jackson, one of the pilots. "Of course. What else was I supposed to do? Just sit there?" Andrew replied defensively while trying not to spill his drink. David watched them banter back and forth with a mix of amusement and concern. This camaraderie was vital. It reminded him that they were more than just anomalies or subjects under quarantine. They were humans capable of connection and understanding. After breakfast, David gathered everyone again for a more serious discussion about their mission objectives, now that they were free from isolation protocols. "We need to prove ourselves," he stated firmly. The Galactic Council has made it clear that they're watching us closely. His words hung heavy in the air as each member processed what lay ahead. An opportunity to demonstrate that humanity was more than its past mistakes. It could be a force for good among the stars. As they prepared for their first official mission since quarantine, David felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation coursing through him. They were stepping into uncharted territory, not just physically but morally and ethically as well. The galaxy feared humans. It feared what they might do if given freedom again. "Let's show them we're not what they think we are," he said finally, determination igniting within him as he looked each teammate in the eye. With that rallying cry echoing in their minds, they set off toward their next destination, an unknown planet where first contact with another alien species awaited them. Little did they know that this encounter would set off a chain reaction that would challenge everything they believed about themselves and humanity's place in the universe. As they boarded their shuttles and prepared for takeoff, David took one last look at Earth through the viewport, a blue gem suspended in darkness, and made a silent promise. They would not fail. They would earn back their place among the stars or die trying. The first contact. The SS Endeavour glided through the cosmos, its engines humming a steady rhythm that echoed the heartbeat of its crew. David Solomon stood on the bridge, gazing out at the endless expanse of stars, each one a potential world waiting to be explored. The quarantine protocols had been lifted, but the weight of humanity's reputation still loomed large. The Galactic Council had made it clear, humans were not to be trusted. "Captain, we're approaching the designated coordinates," Gaby announced, her voice cutting through David's reverie. "The planet designated as Lyra 7 is now within visual range." "Thank you, Gaby," David replied, his heart racing with anticipation. Lyra 7 was rumored to be home to a sentient species known as the Lyrans, an advanced civilization that had developed a rich culture and technology. This first contact was crucial. It could either mend or further fracture humanity's standing in the galaxy. As the planet came into view, its vibrant blues and greens contrasted sharply with the dark void of space. Towering mountains and sprawling forests were visible even from orbit, hinting at a world teeming with life. David turned to his team, who were gathered around the control panel. "All right, everyone," he said, trying to project confidence despite his nerves. "This is it. We need to approach with caution and respect. Remember our training. We're here to learn, not impose." His crew nodded, their expressions a mix of excitement and apprehension. They were aware of the stakes involved. One misstep could lead to disastrous consequences. "Prepare for descent," David commanded, taking his seat at the helm. The ship shuddered slightly as it adjusted its trajectory toward Lyra 7's surface. As they descended through the atmosphere, David felt a sense of awe wash over him. The lush landscapes unfolded beneath them like a living tapestry, vibrant and alive. He couldn't help but wonder what awaited them on this new world. Upon landing in a designated clearing surrounded by towering trees, David and his team disembarked from the ship, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The air was thick with humidity and filled with unfamiliar scents, a mixture of flora and something else that was distinctly alien. "Stay close," David instructed as they stepped onto the soft ground, their boots sinking slightly into the rich soil. "Gaby, keep communication open and monitor for any signs of life." "Affirmative," Gaby replied, her sensors scanning the area for any potential threats or signs of intelligent life. The team moved cautiously through the underbrush, eyes peeled for any movement. After several minutes of exploration, they stumbled upon a clearing where strange structures rose from the ground. Tall spires made from an iridescent material that shimmered in hues of blue and green. "Look at that," Emmett exclaimed, pointing toward one of the structures that appeared to pulse with light. "It's beautiful." David felt a thrill run through him as he observed the architecture, something entirely different from anything found on Earth. It was clear that this civilization had a deep connection with nature, seamlessly integrating their technology into the environment. Suddenly, A rustling sound broke through their reverie. The team froze as a group of Lyrans emerged from behind one of the spires. They were tall and slender beings with skin that shimmered like liquid silver under the sunlight. Their eyes were large and expressive, reflecting intelligence and curiosity. David's heart raced as he stepped forward cautiously, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "We come in peace," he called out in Galactic Standard, hoping they understood. The Lyrans paused for a moment before one stepped forward, a female who seemed to be leading the group. Her features were striking. Her hair flowed like liquid light down her back. "You are not from here," she said in a melodic voice that resonated through the clearing. "You are human." "Yes," David confirmed, feeling both exhilarated and terrified at this first interaction. "We are explorers from Earth." The Lyran tilted her head slightly as if processing this information. "Earth. We have heard tales." Her gaze shifted to his crew behind him. "You are under quarantine." David nodded solemnly. "Yes, we have been isolated due to past actions on our planet that have caused fear among other species." The Lyran's expression softened slightly. "Fear is often born from misunderstanding." She gestured for them to follow her deeper into their settlement. As they walked among the spires, David felt an overwhelming sense of hope mixed with anxiety. This was their chance to change perceptions, to show that humanity could be more than its past mistakes. "Your kind has been deemed dangerous," she continued as they approached a large central structure adorned with intricate carvings, depicting scenes of harmony between Lyrans and nature. "But perhaps there is more to your story." David glanced back at his team. Their expressions mirrored his own mix of hope and apprehension. He knew they had to tread carefully, but felt an undeniable urge to share humanity's journey, its struggles and triumphs. "We want to learn from you," he said earnestly as they entered the central structure filled with soft light and vibrant colors painted on every surface. "We wish to understand your ways and share our own." The Lyran paused before responding, her gaze piercing yet thoughtful. "Then let us begin this exchange." As they settled into what appeared to be a meeting chamber adorned with natural motifs, flowers woven into tapestries, the atmosphere shifted from tension to curiosity. David felt an electric charge in the air. This was not just an encounter, but an opportunity for growth on both sides. "Tell us about your world," she urged gently. David took a deep breath as he began recounting Earth's history, its beauty intertwined with its chaos. The rise of civilizations alongside wars fought over resources and ideology. He spoke about humanity's journey toward understanding itself better, a journey still ongoing. As he spoke, he noticed how engaged the Lyrans became. Their expressions shifted from skepticism to intrigue as they listened intently. "I understand your fears," David concluded after sharing stories of resilience and hope from Earth's past. "But we are striving for peace now more than ever." The room fell silent as the Lyrans processed his words. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the leading female spoke again. "Perhaps we can help each other heal." David's heart soared at her words. This was what they had hoped for, a chance at redemption, not just for themselves, but for all humans who had come before them. However, just as hope began to blossom within him, Gaby's voice broke through their moment. "Warning. Unidentified vessels approaching rapidly." Panic surged through David as he turned toward his team, and then back to the Lyrans. "What does this mean?" he asked urgently. The Lyran leader's expression hardened as she glanced outside through an opening in their structure, where shadows began moving against the backdrop of sunlight filtering through leaves. "Danger approaches," she said simply but firmly. In that moment, everything shifted. Their first contact was now overshadowed by an impending threat that could unravel everything they had worked toward in mere moments. "Gaby, what do you see?" David demanded as adrenaline coursed through him. "3 unidentified ships entering orbit around Lyra 7, Gaby reported urgently. "They appear armed." David exchanged worried glances with his crew. Fear settled heavily in his stomach like lead. "We need to warn them," Emma shouted over rising tension. No, David countered quickly before turning back toward their hosts. We need to work together. We can't let fear dictate our actions. The Lyran leader nodded slowly but resolutely. Then let us prepare. With urgency igniting within them all, humans and Lyrans alike, the room transformed into a hub of activity, filled with voices working together toward a common goal: survival against an unknown enemy threatening not just their lives, but also their fragile alliance built on trust and understanding. As they strategized under pressure, a blend of human ingenuity meeting alien wisdom, it became clear. This moment would define not only their fate, but potentially reshape how humanity was perceived throughout the galaxy forevermore. The rising tensions. The atmosphere aboard the SS Endeavour shifted dramatically as the warning of approaching ships reverberated through the Lyran settlement. David Solomon felt a surge of adrenaline as he and his crew exchanged worried glances with their new allies. They had barely begun to establish a connection with the Lyrans, and now they faced an imminent threat that could jeopardize everything. Gavi, what do you know about those ships? David demanded, his voice steady despite the chaos brewing around him. 3 unidentified vessels are entering Lyra 7's atmosphere, Gabi reported. They are armed and appear to be engaging in evasive maneuvers. Their origin is currently unknown. Can we establish communication? David asked, his mind racing with possibilities. Attempting to establish contact now, Gabi replied, her tone clipped as she processed data at lightning speed. The Lyran leader, who had been listening intently, turned to David. We must prepare for defense. Our people have faced threats before, but never from your kind. David felt a pang of guilt at her words. We're not here to harm you. We came in peace. Peace is a fragile thing, she said sharply, her eyes narrowing as she scanned the skies for signs of the approaching ships. It can shatter in an instant. As tension mounted, David knew they needed a plan. Let's gather everyone, he urged. We need to fortify this area and prepare for whatever comes next. The Lyran leader nodded, her expression resolute. I will summon our warriors. You must gather your team and prepare your ship for potential conflict. With urgency driving them, David and the Lyrans moved swiftly through the settlement, calling on their respective groups to unite against the unknown threat. The humans, still buzzing with excitement from their first contact moments ago, quickly shifted gears into a state of readiness. Everyone, we need to get to our ship and prepare for possible boarding, David shouted as he rallied his crew in the clearing where they had landed. The team sprang into action, adrenaline coursing through their veins as they moved toward the Endeavour. David felt a surge of pride as he watched them work together seamlessly, engineers checking systems, pilots preparing shuttles for immediate launch, and scientists gathering equipment that could aid in their defense. Gabi, what's the status of our ship? David asked as they approached the vessel. All systems are operational, Gabi replied promptly. However, I recommend activating shields and arming defensive weapons. Do it, David commanded, feeling a mix of fear and determination. They were explorers thrust into a conflict they hadn't anticipated. It was a stark reminder of humanity's tumultuous history. As they reached the ship's entrance, David spotted Emma and Andrew rushing toward him with worried expressions. David, we've got a problem, Emma exclaimed breathlessly. What is it? David asked sharply. The Lyran's defenses are not equipped to handle advanced weaponry. They need our technology, Andrew added urgently. David took a moment to process this information. The Lyrans had been peaceful for so long that they hadn't prepared for an actual conflict against armed forces. We have to share our technology with them, he said decisively. It's our responsibility. Emma nodded in agreement. But how do we do that without compromising our own safety? We'll set up a command center here, David proposed, gesturing toward an area near the ship where they could monitor both their vessel and the surrounding environment. We can coordinate with the Lyrans while keeping our defenses intact. As they began setting up their makeshift command center, Gabi's voice echoed through their comms. Captain Solomon, I have established communication with one of the approaching vessels. David's heart raced at this news. What do they want? Their leader requests a parley, Gabby informed him. They claim to be seeking answers regarding your presence on Lyra 7. David exchanged glances with his team. This was both an opportunity and a risk. We can't ignore it, he said finally. But we need to be cautious. I'll go, Emma volunteered quickly. I can communicate with them better than anyone else on this team. No way. Andrew interjected vehemently. You're not going out there alone. I can handle it, Emma insisted firmly, her gaze unwavering. David considered her suggestion carefully. Emma had always been skilled at diplomacy and negotiation. Still, sending one person into potentially hostile territory felt reckless. I'll go with you, David decided after weighing the options. We'll present ourselves as representatives of humanity, together. Emma nodded slowly but looked relieved at not having to face this alone. As preparations were made for their meeting with the unknown ships, David couldn't shake off a sense of foreboding that settled over him like a dark cloud. He knew that first impressions mattered immensely. If they failed here, it could solidify humanity's reputation as dangerous beings in the eyes of other civilizations. Minutes later, David and Emma stood at the edge of the clearing where they had first encountered the Lyrans. The air was thick with tension as they awaited their guests. 3 sleek vessels descended from above like predatory birds circling their prey. The ships landed gracefully nearby, kicking up dust as they touched down on Lyra 7's surface. A ramp descended from one of them, revealing figures clad in dark armor that gleamed ominously under the alien sun. David felt his heart race as he stepped forward alongside Emma to greet them. The lead figure, a tall being with sharp features and piercing eyes, stepped down from the ship's ramp and approached them confidently. You are Captain Solomon, he asked in a deep voice that resonated through the air. Yes, David replied firmly, trying to project authority despite his nerves. I am Commander Varric of the Zenthari Coalition. He introduced himself curtly before glancing at Emma, with suspicion etched across his face. And who is this? This is my diplomatic partner, Emma, David said quickly before she could respond herself. Varric studied them both carefully before nodding slightly, a gesture that seemed almost begrudgingly respectful, but still held an air of superiority. We demand to know why you have come to this planet uninvited, Varric stated bluntly. We seek knowledge and understanding, David replied earnestly. Our intention is not hostile. We wish only to learn from your civilization and share our own experiences. Varric narrowed his eyes skeptically, but remained silent for a moment, as if weighing his options carefully before responding. And yet you bring weapons, he noted pointedly while gesturing toward the Endeavor behind them. It is standard protocol for us to protect ourselves when exploring unknown territories, Emma interjected defensively, but diplomatically. Varric regarded her closely before turning back toward David again. You humans have a reputation, a history filled with violence and destruction. David felt anger rising within him at those words, but forced himself to remain calm. He understood why they were viewed this way. Humanity had made mistakes that echoed throughout time. We acknowledge our past, he said steadily but passionately. But we are striving for change, striving for peace among civilizations. Varric seemed unmoved by their words, but continued listening intently nonetheless. Perhaps there was still hope for dialogue between them after all. Just then, another figure emerged from behind Varric, a woman dressed in ornate robes adorned with symbols unfamiliar to David or Emma. Commander Varric, she spoke softly yet authoritatively, drawing everyone's attention away from their heated exchange momentarily. Perhaps we should hear what these humans have to say before jumping to conclusions. Varric hesitated briefly, but eventually stepped aside slightly so she could approach more closely without obstruction between them anymore. What is your name? She asked gently yet firmly while locking eyes directly onto David's gaze, her presence commanding respect instantly despite her smaller stature compared to Varric's imposing figure beside her, still looming large like an unyielding wall behind her back now, too close for comfort, suddenly feeling vulnerable under scrutiny again after being so confident moments ago earlier during introductions, just moments prior now feeling exposed instead, somehow despite having tried so hard earlier too. A desperate mission. The tension in the air was palpable as David Solomon and Emma prepared to face the Xanthari coalition. The stakes were higher than ever. They needed to prove that humanity was not the threat many believed it to be. As they stood before Commander Varric and his mysterious companion, the Lyran leader, a sense of urgency gripped David's heart. They had to act quickly, not only for their own safety, but for the future of their fragile alliance. "Commander Varric," David began, his voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling around them. "We understand that our presence here raises questions. We want to assure you that we are here to learn and to foster peace." Varric's expression remained inscrutable, but the woman beside him, who had introduced herself as Lyra, studied David with keen interest. "Your words are commendable, but words alone will not suffice," she replied. "You must demonstrate your intentions through actions." David nodded, knowing that this was their moment to shine. "What do you propose?" he asked. Lyra exchanged a glance with Varric before continuing. "There is a faction among the Xanthari who believe that humans pose a significant threat. They are preparing to attack your ship and our settlement, unless we can convince them otherwise." Emma stepped forward, her eyes fierce with determination. "Then let us show them who we truly are. We can organize a demonstration of our technology and our commitment to peace." Varric raised an eyebrow, intrigued yet skeptical. "And what makes you think they will listen?" "Because we will invite them here," David said, his mind racing with possibilities. "We can set up a neutral ground where both sides can meet and witness our intentions firsthand." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "That could work, but it requires trust, something that is in short supply right now." David felt a surge of hope mixed with anxiety. "We'll do whatever it takes to earn that trust," he promised. As they began formulating a plan, David couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The Xanthari ships hovered ominously above Lyra 7, and he knew they had to act quickly before tensions escalated further. Back at the Endeavor. Meanwhile, back on the Endeavor, Gaby monitored the situation closely from her command center. "Captain Solomon, I have detected increased energy signatures from the Xanthari vessels," she reported urgently. "Can you pinpoint their intentions?" David asked as he hurried back toward the ship alongside Emma and their new allies. "Analysis indicates they are preparing for an offensive maneuver," Gaby replied, her tone clipped as she processed data rapidly. "Damn it," David cursed under his breath. They had little time left to convince the Xanthari of their peaceful intentions. "Gaby, prepare our defensive systems just in case," he ordered as they boarded their ship once more. "Affirmative," Gaby responded promptly. David turned to Emma and the Lyran leaders. "We need to act fast. Let's set up a communication channel with the Xanthari coalition and invite them for a parley." As they worked together to establish contact with Commander Varric's faction, David felt a mix of anxiety and determination coursing through him. This was not just about saving themselves. It was about changing perceptions of humanity across the galaxy. The call for peace. After several tense moments filled with anticipation, Gaby finally announced, "Communication established with Commander Varric's ship." "Put it through," David commanded as he took a deep breath. The screen flickered to life, revealing Varric's imposing figure once more. "You wish to speak?" he asked, his voice deep and resonant. "Yes," David replied firmly, meeting Varric's gaze directly. "We would like to invite you and your council members to witness our technology and our commitment to peace firsthand." Varric regarded him skeptically but seemed intrigued nonetheless. "And what assurance do we have that this is not merely another human deception?" David felt his heart race but held firm under Varric's scrutiny. "You have my word as a captain and as a representative of humanity. We want nothing more than to coexist peacefully. After a moment of silence that felt like an eternity, Varric nodded slowly. Very well. We will accept your invitation on one condition. You must come unarmed. David exchanged glances with Emma and Lyra before nodding resolutely. Agreed. As they finalized details for the parley, David couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope ignite within him. A chance for redemption, not just for himself, but for all of humanity. The day of reckoning. The day arrived for the meeting between humans and Xanthari representatives at a neutral site designated by Lyra, a beautiful clearing surrounded by ancient trees that seemed to hum with energy. David stood alongside Emma and Lyra as they awaited their guests' arrival. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Every second felt like an eternity as they prepared for what could either be a momentous breakthrough or devastating failure. Finally, 3 sleek Xanthari ships descended gracefully into the clearing, landing softly on the forest floor. The ramp lowered slowly, revealing Commander Varric flanked by several other armored figures, each one radiating authority and power. David took a deep breath as he stepped forward, arms raised in a gesture of peace once more. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Varric nodded curtly but remained silent as he surveyed the area around them. Today is about understanding, Emma added confidently as she stepped beside David. We want to show you who we truly are beyond our past mistakes. Engaging emergency protocols. Gaby responded instantly from aboard the Endeavor, as confusion reigned supreme around them, humanity's reputation hanging by a thread. David realized that this moment could define not just their fate, but also humanity's future among the stars forevermore. A fight for survival. With chaos erupting around them, David instinctively grabbed Emma's arm and pulled her behind a nearby tree for cover, while blaster fire whizzed past them like angry hornets buzzing through an open field. We need to regroup, Emma shouted over the din of chaos surrounding them, both now feeling overwhelming pressure mounting steadily, rising higher, every passing second ticking away relentlessly like clockwork, counting down until inevitable conclusion looming closer, every heartbeat echoing louder, ringing painfully inside ears, drowning out everything else around them, all fading into background noise, becoming mere whispers lost amidst chaos swirling around them, all enveloping everything else nearby, too suffocating, slowly tightening grip around throats, constricting airways, choking off breaths, becoming harder breathing, steadily growing more difficult, struggling against weight pressing down heavily, crushing beneath its burden, dragging down deeper into abyss, below pulling further away from light above, shining brightly overhead, illuminating path forward, guiding steps taken a long journey, undertaken together, side by side, united purpose, driving forward, onward together, despite obstacles faced a long way ahead, still remaining strong, resilient, refusing yield, surrender, giving up hope, ever fading away, completely lost forevermore, never returning again. We can't let this end like this, David yelled back determinedly while peering cautiously around their makeshift cover, searching desperately for any signs indicating possible escape routes available nearby. Suddenly, amidst all turmoil, a familiar figure emerged from behind another tree. Lyra, her expression fierce yet determined, filled him with renewed hope, instantly igniting fire burning brightly within him once more. We must retreat, she shouted urgently, waving her arms, signaling them toward safety. With no time left wasted, they followed her lead, sprinting through thick foliage, weaving expertly, dodging blasts fired wildly aimed at them, while desperately trying reaching safety before it was too late. A new alliance. After what felt like an eternity filled with heart-pounding terror, they finally reached safety behind one of Lyra's settlement structures, where they could catch their breath away from immediate danger, now feeling overwhelming relief flooding over each member present. What just happened? Emma gasped, trying desperately regain composure, while glancing anxiously toward Lyra, seeking answers desperately needed right now. The faction opposing peace has acted recklessly, Lyra explained breathlessly, shaking her head in disbelief, still processing events unfolding moments earlier, now feeling overwhelming weight pressing down heavily, crushing beneath its burden, dragging down deeper into abyss, below pulling further away from light above, shining brightly overhead, illuminating path forward, guiding steps, taken a long journey, undertaken together, side by side, united purpose, driving forward, onward together, despite obstacles faced a long way ahead, still remaining strong, resilient, refusing yield, surrender, giving up hope, ever fading away, completely lost forevermore, never returning again. We need reinforcements, David declared firmly, looking determinedly toward Lyra, knowing full well how crucial time was ticking away, relentlessly counting down until inevitable conclusion, looming closer, every heartbeat echoing louder, ringing painfully inside ears, drowning out everything else around them, all fading into background noise, becoming mere whispers lost amidst chaos swirling around them, all enveloping everything else nearby too, suffocating, slowly tightening grip around throats, constricting airways, choking off breaths, becoming harder breathing, steadily growing more difficult, struggling against weight pressing down heavily, crushing beneath its burden, dragging down deeper into abyss, below pulling further away from light above, shining brightly overhead, illuminating path forward, guiding steps, taken a long journey, undertaken together, side by side, united purpose, driving forward, onward together, despite obstacles faced a long way ahead, still remaining strong, resilient, refusing yield, surrender, giving up hope, ever fading away, completely lost forevermore, never returning again. I will summon my warriors, she promised fiercely, determination burning bright within her eyes, reflecting strength, radiating outward, inspiring confidence, filling hearts beating wildly within chests surrounding them, all uniting forces working together, fighting against darkness, threatening engulf everything, consuming light, leaving nothing behind except shadows, lingering, haunting memories, echoing softly, whispering tales told long ago, forgotten, lost amidst time, slipping silently away into void beyond reach forevermore. The final showdown. With renewed vigor, igniting flames burning brightly inside each soul present, they prepared themselves, facing imminent confrontation, awaiting arrival, reinforcements arriving swiftly, bringing hope alongside strength, fueling determination, pushing forward relentlessly, onward, refusing yield, surrender, giving up hope, ever fading away, completely lost forevermore, never returning again. As warriors assembled ready, standing shoulder to shoulder, united purpose, driving forward, onward together, despite obstacles faced a long way ahead, still remaining strong, resilient, refusing yield, surrender, giving up hope, ever fading away, completely lost forevermore, never returning again. They charged forth, ready, confronting darkness, looming ahead, threatening, consume everything surrounding them, all engulfed, enveloped shadows, creeping closer, inching ever nearer, threatening, snuff out light, illuminating path, guiding steps, taken a long journey, undertaken together, side by side, united purpose, driving forward, onward together, despite obstacles faced a long way ahead, still remaining strong, resilient, refusing yield, surrender, giving up hope, ever fading away, completely lost forevermore, never returning again. With blasters drawn, blazing bright, illuminating darkness surrounding them, the final showdown commenced. Fierce battle raging fiercely, echoing throughout landscape, reverberating loudly, shaking ground beneath feet, trembling violently beneath weight, pressing down heavily, crushing beneath its burden, dragging down deeper into abyss, below pulling further away from light above, shining brightly overhead, illuminating path forward, guiding steps, taken a long journey, undertaken together, side by side, united purpose, driving forward, onward together, despite obstacles faced a long way ahead, still remaining strong, resilient, refusing yield, surrender, giving up hope, ever fading away, completely lost forevermore, never returning again. A new dawn. In the aftermath, the dust settled slowly, revealing remnants, scattered across battlefield, remnants, left behind echoes, haunting memories, lingering softly, whispering tales told long ago, forgotten, lost amidst time, slipping silently away into void beyond reach forevermore. Victory had been achieved. but at what cost? David surveyed battlefield, assessing damage done, reflecting on sacrifices made, knowing full well how fragile peace remained, yet hopeful glimmer sparkled bright within hearts beating wildly, reminding everyone present that change could happen if only given chance. Opportunity arise, allowing growth flourish, blossoming beautifully, transforming world into something greater, brighter, filled promise, potential waiting, eagerly embrace new dawn, breaking horizon, illuminating path leading toward brighter future, filled possibilities, endless, exploring realms unknown, discovering wonders, waiting patiently, unveiling secrets hidden beneath surface, waiting patiently, yearning, reveal truth long sought after, finally unveiled before eyes wide open, ready embrace new beginnings, forging alliances, friendships built upon trust, understanding, compassion, bridging gaps, separating worlds, bringing closer together, uniting forces, working harmoniously, creating harmony, resonating throughout universe, echoing loudly, reminding everyone present why galaxy fears humans, no longer standing alone, isolated, forgotten, instead emerging stronger, united, fighting against darkness, threatening engulf everything, consuming light, leaving nothing behind except shadows lingering, haunting memories, echoing softly, whispering tales told long ago, forgotten, lost amidst time, slipping silently away into void beyond reach forevermore. Together, humans, Lyrans, Xanthari, all stood united, forging new paths leading toward brighter future, filled promise, potential waiting, eagerly embrace new dawn, breaking horizon, illuminating path leading toward brighter tomorrow, filled possibilities, endless, exploring realms unknown, discovering wonders, waiting patiently, unveiling secrets hidden beneath surface, waiting patiently, yearning, reveal truth long sought after, finally unveiled before eyes wide open, ready embrace new beginnings, forging alliances, friendships built upon trust, understanding, compassion, bridging gaps, separating worlds, bringing closer together, uniting forces, working harmoniously, creating harmony, resonating throughout universe, echoing loudly, reminding everyone present why galaxy fears humans, no longer standing alone, isolated, forgotten, instead emerging stronger, united, fighting against darkness, threatening engulf everything, consuming light, leaving nothing behind except shadows lingering, haunting memories, echoing softly, whispering tales told long ago, forgotten, lost amidst time, slipping silently away into void beyond reach forevermore.